Okay, YouTube. So I went to Finish Line. Got some more shoes for y'all. Okay, this is a size 7 Nike Woodside GS sizes. Black, 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 black. Retail for $75. You can see that. It's a Nike. And these are the Nike Woodside boots. As you can see. Okay. These haven't been worn yet. In the store, I asked for a 7, tried it on, and then I asked them to go in the back and give me a new fresh one that hasn't been worn. So, yeah. These are just the Nike Woodside boots.